Hey Stacy, here we are again. I'm so excited to be here today. Um, I hope you're doing well. We have a brief little check-in before we start these, but where we go is where we go. We never have a plan. But I think today we just kind of really wanted to start a little bit where we left off, talking a little bit more about compassion and the importance of compassion as humans. Um, you know, I came across a quote. This quote that I came across this morning was that a candle loses nothing when it lights another candle.
Mm.
And it really helped me. It's a synchronicity because there's been a lot of things coming up for me personally this week that is all about reinforcing that compassion and empathy that is needed with every human being. We don't know what they're going through, we don't know what is happening in somebody's life. And particularly for people who are in positions of power in leadership and such, if we're not remembering that we have to have compassion for those that we are leading, or that we have some kind of influence over, even as parents with our children. If we're not remembering this in our interactions, we really don't understand how our words have impact on other people, how it contributes to situations. I'm not in any way saying that we are responsible for somebody else's actions, but we absolutely contribute to someone else's energy, to someone else's feelings. Um, and when we have the ability to impact another person with compassion and kindness and love,
Mhm.
I think we have this responsibility to walk that with beauty and light and just compassion and kindness, and share that with the world. There's not enough of it in this world.
Mhm.
And I think as a society, we are we're not seeing enough of it as a society.
Mhm.
And so it is contributing to things with mental health,
Mhm.
to decisions with people, to again, we're not responsible per se for the decisions that somebody makes, but we are seeing a lot of people having a lot of difficulties with mental health, and we don't know who they are going through that. And so we should take credence in the way that we are stepping through life and the way that we are interacting in our communication, in our kindness that we're putting out to other people. Even when, I'll just say it in the way of being a parent, when we have to correct our children, if we can do that with kindness and compassion, we can still correct them. We can still hold them accountable. It's just the delivery of the way we do that. So I will pass it over to you for
Yes.
sure.
Oh, so beautiful. Wholeheartedly resonate with everything that you just said. And so I would imagine most anyone listening would agree. The ideas about that, the intention, the concepts, absolutely. And then we end up, what gets in the way of that? Like, how do we cultivate that? How do we create that? And this is all of blending these together is so much why we are here having these conversations. And so when we are not connected, as we've already talked about, to the lovingness of all that we are in survival mode, which means fight, flight, freeze, stress, um, anxiousness by the very definition of what's going on in the body and where we are communicating from. That is where humans, leaders and otherwise, parents, all of us, our energy, our behavior, and the way we communicate is going to be obviously completely different than if we are in the own lovingness. And this goes up and down. And we're certainly not saying anybody should be in a 24/7. Like, we're not saying there's something wrong with anyone. that we're not doing this. But it's lovely. We want an intention. I mean, if we're not conscious and intentional about what are we wanting more of in our life, every single human that you and I have served as a therapist, as in our spiritual roles, I'll just call them, guiding people, supporting people, we all want more of that. We may not name that. We might be like, I want to not feel so anxious. I want to be more productive. I want to whatever. But anything people want that they're not having in their life is because what's going on to spark the survival mode living as just a human, as though we are alone, as though at times or most of the time there's no universe at play. There's these things are happening to me. Why questions, like the kind of why questions about why or what's wrong with me or whatever, those kinds of things. And then I'll pass it over to you. But that's what initially so much was coming up. I'm like, where do I begin in my response? And as always, I don't have a plan. I'm just like, here it is. But that the human remembering we're also divine, and we're co-creating our experience. And I can see us, whether it's today or other times, leading into, because I know a lot of people are like, that all sounds great, y'all, but how do we do that? And we don't have to jump to the how right now, but I'm just like naming some things that I know have come up for me a lot when I have listening, although I've never heard anyone talk exactly how we're talking, of course, because it's you and I are creating our own nuances here. But anyway, that's what was coming up initially here for me.
I have to tell you, immediately what came up for me was a conversation that I had had with a previous client who had a self-awareness about their own self-esteem issues, right? And I this person was able to really name that they knew that their self-esteem was low. And you don't always get that when working with people.
Right.
Um, and I think it's a really hard thing for a lot of people to be able to recognize that they may be coming from a place where their self-esteem hasn't been cultivated in a really loving and kind way. And this conversation that I had with this client over several sessions really focused on that the entire collective,
Mm,
this person felt like they were alone in this, and that they saw everybody else who was just so confident.
mhm,
And I think what I feel like I need to say is that so many people feel alone in this feeling.
mm,
Um, and I think that that's what keeps us from naming it, because they see all this confidence radiating from other people. Um, but I have worked with people in very high, powerful positions, and
mhm.
I've worked with people who didn't have jobs. I've worked this full spectrum, and it is consistent across all
Mm,
all areas, all socioeconomic areas, all positions, all everything, that there are pieces of self-esteem
mhm,
that have challenges. And so when I'm bringing in about this compassion
mhm,
and this responsibility of how we walk and interact with other people, even the
mhm,
most confident person that you know in your life, or that you come across as an acquaintance, or maybe even your boss, the
mhm,
most confident person that you know, I promise you,
mhm.
somewhere inside of them is a child who questions if they're doing good enough.
Yes.
And
Mhm,
when we give to someone else, again, even if it's our boss, even if it's somebody who holds a
mhm,
title higher than us, when we reflect to someone else the energy that we would like to receive, or that we would like to see them put out into the universe, because this goes back to energy.
yes.
um, we're showing other people
Yes.
what we would like to see reflected.
Mm.
And the only way we're going to have healing across a collective, it starts with us. It starts with ourselves. And it starts with what we radiate out in energy. And energy in and of itself comes out in words too. It comes off of us, in an energetic field, absolutely. But it also comes out in words and actions. And so when we walk with intention in our life, again, like Stacy, like you were saying, we're not talking about every step we take, every moment of our life. We all have moments where I have moments. I have full day when I don't have the best energy, and I know I need to be within myself and realign myself. Um, no one is talking perfection here. No one is talking this is some kind of, oh, this happens every single day. But it is about having an intention and setting an intention for how the day will be and what you're going to give out into the world and give to yourself too, because that's important, right? Starting with self,
Yes.
loving and kindness of self. Because again, I bring back that positive and negative bank in the brain. I think I'll probably say that every day. Like, because when we bring more positive into that bank than there are negative, this makes this easier and easier and easier. Um, I'm gonna volley back to you, and I know we're gonna get into some hows, but I'm gonna volley back to you from there.
Love that. That piece about self-esteem. I often in conversations with my clients, and I've struggled with it myself, self-doubt, that feeling that we're not enough and comparing ourselves to others. And like you were saying, looking at other people and going, gosh, they're so confident. And for some people, the fully aligned, connected soul self essence is present. And we get a certain resonance about that energy. Then there's people that we may interpret their behavior as confident, but they're that more, I don't know, I'm not trying to do labels or anything here. So it's like, but the kind of look at me, almost like they're trying to prove or whatever. And we can still feel like, wow, I wish I could be more like that, where I just show up in my confidence. And we all move in and out of that. And like I'm going to tag along or on to what you're saying about when we are more truly self-connected, that the higher self, because the higher self is here to be a support to the little one inside that's got all that doubt. And we need to love her, it, them, they, right? Whatever resonates for people, that it's natural that that part of us is there. We're not trying to get rid of that part. But if we operate from that part most of the time, then we are triggered. We are in the self-doubt, and then that, like you were saying, it'll energetically then be emitted out to those around us. And then and again, we're not judging or criticizing that, but the awareness, as I was listening to you, we are really talking here about helping people become more aware. We can do nothing without awareness. Consciously, no, I take that back. We are doing things all the time, but consciously, what do we want to create? What do we want more of? It starts here. But often what happens is we're struggling, feeling that low self-esteem and the self-doubt, and therefore anxious and overwhelmed and all the things in the body. And then we're waiting for stuff outside of self to change so we can feel safer, so we can show who we really are. It doesn't work that way. I speak from personal experience. I help my clients with this every day. Like, I don't feel safe to da 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 da. And it's not about you got to be bold and fully scary, but and I love how you said when you're having one of those days, it's a time to go inward. It's a time to take the time for ourselves. Because if we're not tuning in to ourselves, and instead of I resonate with this too in my own experience, and then working with people, and you and I talk about this, like if we're looking outside of ourselves to get our needs met, or I need the love shown to me, we just need more and more and more of that. That never ends. Yes, we want lovingness from others, but as we've been talking about, like fill up our own cup of love first, and then also parallel process with bringing that out to others, and then we will receive it back, and I'll volley back to you, whether we're starting with ideas for how now or anything that's coming up with you. And you know what? If the how doesn't resonate today, it's okay.
Thanks, Stacy. Yeah, you know, I was thinking about as you were talking, just some really simple things that we can do that starts to bring us to a place that can be positive, that can help us to begin to recognize what we have available to us, and I just have to say, everything that I ever recommend for people is stuff that I've done myself or currently do myself. I'm never going to tell somebody to do something that I is not something I do myself.
Mhm.
There's lots of things that I do, and I can go way outside of the box when it comes to practices for sure. Um, you know, Maybe one day I can talk about different crystals and things.
Mm,
But for today, starting just really simply
mhm,
to bring kind of alignment and positivity. One of the things that I've done for years, still do, is about gratitude. And before I even like get up in the morning, like I have this little notepad that I keep beside my bed, and I just jot down three things that I'm grateful for. And sometimes even three things on a hard day can be hard to come up with, right?
mm,
And it may be something as simple as I'm grateful the sun is shining. I mean, it can be that. It doesn't have to be something super profound, right, that you're grateful for. But what it does is it starts the trigger of your day looking for even the smallest things. I have even been known to write, I'm grateful that I had green lights on the way to work, like
yeah.
something that simple, right? Like that when we begin to notice just the smallest of things, what happens is that the universe begins to generate and align more and more and more things for us to be grateful for.
Mhm, mhm,
And so another little just tip and trick that I have done for years. Currently, I don't have it right now, but I have done it in my office. I have done it in my bathroom mirror. I have done it on my kitchen cabinets. I have done it on my refrigerator. But taking sticky notes that just say things like, I am enough. I am
mm,
worthy. I am powerful. I am beautiful. I am, just these I am statements that are just these positive statements. And I think probably, not probably, I know when I have these things just stuck in random places where I actually read them. They're not meant to be put there and to never read them, right? They're meant to be put there and you stop and you absorb what they say and even
mhm,
speak them out loud, right?
mhm,
But I remember when I was manifesting a specific position that I really, really wanted. In the position that I was in at the time, I wrote these. Now, they weren't short, they weren't 3 words, but I wrote these very positive manifestation, you know, I attract, yada, yada, yada. There were 6 of them. And I literally put them right above my computer
mhm.
at my job that I was in. Um, and everything flowed in. Everything flowed in that I wanted. Everything flowed in. And, you
Mhm,
know, I think sometimes um, people like make us feel like there's a specific trick to manifesting what we want, or there's a specific way we have to do something. That's not how the universe works. It's not, there's not this little trick or tip.
mhm,
It's not
mhm,
about that. what it is about is aligning. The universe wants to give you everything you could ever desire. And when you begin to align yourself with the positive energy of those things, that's when you're going to see things come in. It has nothing to do with
Mhm.
about one
Mhm.
statement or one way of doing it, or putting, your hand and your foot up in the air and twirling around. It's none of that stuff. It
Yeah.
literally is about what you create in your mindset, in your positivity driven, and what your energetic field is aligning with the universe
Mhm.
and coming together. And those are just a couple of
Yes.
tips that I would give. I'll volley back to you.
Oh, love it. I love all of those ideas. Do similar things myself. What was popping in for me as one simple how is when, let's say, someone's listening to what you just shared and is like, great. If you find you're having a hard time actually connecting to something you're grateful for, because if we're really wound up, really in that fight, flight, freeze, it can feel really hard to get there. And to tag along first with the teachings of law of attraction, and there's lots of talks about mindset and stay positive and all these things, but and then people feel like, well, I'm trying to do that, but I can't. And so it can't be like forced, right? Everything you're saying is about very natural, like there is, I would say, right, always something to be grateful for. And I'm sure most people would agree with that. But if we're really in a moment of struggle, we're like, who are we kidding? It feels fake. It doesn't feel authentic. So, and this is something I do a lot with my clients and myself, if I'm in that space, one simple thing I love to do is put one or both hands on my heart. And I won't go into it all details, but like it's heart coherence. It's even scientifically backed, but it actually lights up the heart area. And you can take a few breaths. You can do it walking around. You don't have to sit still. You don't have to make your mind get quiet, but it can also help to take a few breaths and remind yourself. In this is maybe a mindfulness aspect, not to complicate this, but just come into the moment. If you're sitting in a chair, wow. And that could, the gratitude piece could be, I'm supported by this chair. And you may not be feeling the warm and fuzzy about that, but then it could be like, right here, right now, I'm okay. Because the fight flight's about something else that's going on. And this
Mhm.
is assuming you're in a safe place, that you're not in a, and people aren't gonna be listening to this, right? If they're like, their minds are literally like, people probably need to be focused enough to be even hearing what we're saying here right now. And so this could be practiced if you want right after you get off listening to our conversation or whatever. But so these simple little things, and when you do these over time, you are cultivating a high level of alignment and resonance, like Terry was saying. I'm saying it in my own words, with the universe. If we feel like we're alone and we're in struggle, that's not the space that law of attraction is often saying we're going to call what we truly desire in. So beautiful. And I'll just stop there so I don't go on and on about my how or whatever. But over time, it's one of our intentions is to really share with people. Because one of the things over the years for me is I love all the teachings about universe law of attraction, and it really opened up my whole world and my consciousness, um, to go beyond the mind, just going beyond the thoughts. Thoughts are important and we need to attend to them, but there's so much more. But I remember times of frustration where it would be like, okay, that's all fine and dandy, what you all are telling everybody to do. And then sometimes there isn't enough practicality to it. So we're trying to blend all this in for people. And you'll choose what resonates for you, everybody. Not everyone, there's no have tos. You don't have to do anything we're saying. But boy, if it resonates, there's a reason it's resonating beyond your even understanding it, if that feels okay, you know? Just
Absolutely.
oh, that lights me up. Oh, that calls to me. Try it. Try it.
Yep, absolutely. And I really do appreciate you addressing that piece of when, somebody's really doesn't even feel like they can feel anything in that moment because they're overwhelmed, because that does happen.
Yes.
I really, it does happen. And you
Mhm.
know, that I have had moments in my life where that happens to me, like, and I want people to understand that, um, although we're here and we're having these conversations, and I have tapped into a lot of abilities, and Stacy has tapped into abilities, and we have education when it comes to, the other things with mental health and things, that never makes us above anything. And it doesn't mean that we don't experience the same things. Um, and these are the things that, these practices that we're sharing are the things that allow us to be able to walk through and align and realign and be able to, have this abundance that, and I want to be clear when I use the word abundance, that abundance is not just about dollars. Abundance is about a lot of things. There is abundance of love, abundance of friends, abundance of, it can be money, absolutely. But abundance is about having just just a lot of what it is that you need and want and desire, and that comes together for you. There have been times in my own personal life where there were days I didn't feel like getting out of bed. Like, these things happen to all of us in this human life. And I will never sit here and ever make you think or feel that we haven't been there, in moments within life. And I want people to understand that we are very authentic and real and very true to what we are doing. And I promise you, like, I have had days, I'm sure I've even had weeks where, I could tell you a story when my first boyfriend broke my heart. I didn't get out of bed for a week. I mean, honestly, like, and that's not to downplay anybody who is going through depression and such. I'm not downplaying that. But really, we all have difficulties in our life. Um, these are the tips and the tricks that, when in the right mind frame, when being able to bring yourself back to that heart place, that makes the days brighter, that brings in the sunshine. And with practice and dedication to that, it will make it begin to be a pattern, that can improve things and can improve energy and connection to the higher level. So I just wanted to kind of tap into that. I felt like it was important to give credence to talk to speak to, because, and if you are in at this place and time, experiencing, um, you know, a, an issue with mental health, please reach out and to a therapist, to your therapist, or to a crisis, line. I know, 988 is across the country. I just feel like I need to say that. Please do, like, what we are talking about here is not meant for moments of crisis. This is not what this conversation is for. So please do that if that's what you are experiencing. Um, and take good care and love and kindness for yourself.
Yes. Beautifully said. As we're closing, there are so many supports here for you. So many supports here for you. And you are never alone, even when it feels like you're alone. And I hope that these are words of encouragement for people. There's so much more that you are beautiful, precious human beings. Thank you so much. Lovely conversation. Thank you so much, Terry.
Thank you, Stacy, and thank you everybody for joining us. And we will see you soon. And take care and love yourselves, for sure. Love yourselves. Have a great day.
Bye for now.